Hi, Wildling. Hey, I'm still looking for some more interesting guests on European herbalism and foraging. So if you know anybody that would want to be a guest in my podcast series, please feel free to reach out and contact me through social media, Wild Plant Forager, or through my website, wildplantforager.com. Thank you so much. Welcome to Wild, the podcast for wildlings just like you. Wildlings who want to transform the prevalent plant blindness to collective plant wisdom. My name is Lieve Galle. I've been working as a herbalist and wild plant forager in Belgium since 2002. In those years, I've seen a lot of changes. Working with plants has become more popular, but I've also seen time is running out for our planet. As foragers and herbalists in Europe, sometimes we're dealing with different plant species and different cultural approaches towards plants. In some countries, working with plants is licensed, and in others, it's almost illegal. I believe that together we can learn from one another and be stronger. There is nothing more empowering than connecting wild souls. Together, we can have a greater impact on restoring the ancient link between people and plants. And that's why, for this podcast series, I'm talking to fellow herbalists and foragers in Europe. So if you're ready to find out what you've never been told, but what your soul already knows, welcome to Wild. Hello, Wildling. Welcome to a new episode of Wild, the podcast for herbalists and foragers in Europe. And today I'm thrilled to welcome Rebecca Clopath to the podcast. She's an acclaimed chef from Switzerland, known for her innovative approach to sustainable gastronomy and her deep connection to local terroir and nature. Through her works, she combines foraging, farming, and culinary creativity to create dishes that not only tell a story, but also honor the land where they come from. As a passionate advocate for biodiversity and mindful eating, Rebecca's philosophy goes far beyond the plate, inspiring people to rethink their relationship with food and the natural world. Welcome, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you very much that I can be here. That sounds actually really nice what you just said right now.
So, Rebecca, can you tell us a little bit more about how your love for foraged ingredients started and also maybe how your upbringing in Switzerland influenced that passion?
Yeah, I think it started when I was a child already because we had no television at home and I grew up in a very small village in the mountains. We had about 60 people living in that village and mostly farming around. So we were actually forced to be outside. Our parents just kick us out of the house. And so we had the time to discover everything. And I was always very interested on plants and flavors and figuring out if it's eatable or not. And I think I took that with me even when I made the apprenticeship as a cook. And it always was on my side and I never forgot about it. So I just felt quite soon actually in my career that I want to go back to that and to go deeper into it.
All right. And so this was something that started already as a child, this interests, or did it grow
Yeah.
gradually, or was there like one moment where you said, hey, this is so valuable? And also what I'm interested in is, were there like any older people around, like adults that you could learn this from?
Yeah, this is always like the thing we are hoping to hear. Yeah, that was my grandma. She told me everything, but no. Actually, even right now, when I'm cooking with wild plants or very local stuff, they're not understanding why I'm doing that.
Ah,
Because we
that's
can buy the
interesting.
stuff in the store. Why should we go and collect and pick it in the wild, in the forest, on the fields? Because my grandparents, at least, they grew up with the point of, wow, we are able now to go and buy something. We don't need to go to foraging anymore. And I think everything about that is like about our grandparents already. So we passed already this grandma lovely philosophy. But I think I just learned a lot from my mom because we had a garden. But about wild plants, I need to say I just learned that when I was an adult person, like the last few years, from a few very specific people, which are really good in that. And
Right.
I'm still very looking up to them because there is thousands of plants and I know a few. And as more you know, you have no clue about it.
Absolutely. Yes, and how easy is to have access to that knowledge? Like, if you really want to learn about wild plants and how you can eat them,
Mhm.
are there a lot of options where you can learn it, or is this with individuals or in schools, or how
Yeah,
does it work in Switzerland?
I think it grew quite a bit in the last few years. Just like, let's say, since I felt it was like going in a very mainstream direction since 2018, more or less. Here, um, I made myself self-employed in 16,
Mm-hmm.
so I just started a bit before. And since then, people are kind of going crazy. Definitely since like the whole situation with the pandemics. Um, but I think it's not that easy to find a lot which is accessible enough for people who start with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had
Mm-hmm.
one book what was named Essbare Wildpflanzen. And that was for me super easy because you saw the plant, you saw where more or less you can find her, which parts you eat in which part of the year. And so I say to me, every year I want to learn two or three new ones, and then I want also to learn how to make something nice with them, because just harvesting them and eating them but not being very happy about it, I think it don't really makes people happy, and they will just forget about it again because it's not something what is like feeling you better. So
Mm-hmm.
I started also to figure out how can I make something nice on the plate, what is tasty, what is great to eat. And so I just went further and further in the last 10 years.
I think that's a really interesting and really good approach because I see this with my students all the time. They say to me, "Hey, I want to have all the knowledge that you have." And they want it like really fast, but for me
It's
it took me
impossible.
almost 25 years to come where I am now. So they just have to start with, and even if it's just like a very common plant like stinging nettles that they can identify
Absolutely.
in the dark, that they just have to figure out how many options there are with just this one plant. And
Yeah.
yes, I think the slow learning when it comes to foraging is really a very, very good approach.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it helps a lot to go deeper because I even made a few workshops because people were asking me so much. Even when I thought I really know nothing, but when I made the workshop, the people were like already overloaded and they were like, oh shit, now you need to make a break. I don't even remember at the first one you told me. And
Yes.
then, I mean, for sure, I give them a handout, but I think it's better to just teach them like five
Hmm.
and then let them know. So now it's on you to go every year and discover a few new ones. So it really goes inside of you and you start to stick to that and to remember to that, and also to have the pleasure to learn a new thing and to figure out a new thing, and not being all the time like, oh shit, it's so much. And even if you start to learn something about families of the plants, then it
Hmm.
goes even in like in, yeah, you can go insane.
Yes, it can be very overwhelming. So I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. Just take it one plant at a time and build it up. And then it's really
Yeah.
knowledge that is part of who you are. It really
Mhm.
becomes part of
Mhm.
your inner being, and
Yeah.
it will not go away that soon, you know? It's really inside of you, and it's really something you can rely on for the rest of your life. And I think
Yeah.
that is essential when it comes to wild plant knowledge. Yes.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, as you say, you are like since 25 years on that. And I mean, if you want to be a biologist, then go for it. But if you just want to cook sometimes something at home and you want to figure out something, then even when you know 20 different plants from sting nettles to Guter Heinrich, I don't know the names in English, but there is, you can make so many different things with that already, and you don't need to go too far. So it makes much more pleasure to just walk a little bit and to see already like 5 to 6 different plants which are like also tasty, because there is many there like, well, you can eat it, but there's no joy.
Hmm. Yes, and on the other hand, I see that a lot of people are surprised because there are so many wild spices that they have never heard
Yeah,
of.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we really cook with the products we are having around us. So no pepper in our kitchen, no cinnamon, no nothing what is from far away. So only the
Wow.
products from our area. And they always ask me, but what are you doing without pepper? And I was like, are you really only cooking with pepper in your kitchen? That's super boring. And so we say, sure, we are not cooking since 10 years with pepper. We don't need it. No chocolate, no coffee. There is so much different things to figure out. And I also think to say no to this is saying yes to many other things. And people
Hmm.
always think, but you are like, are you not missing that? No, actually, we are not, because we figure out, thanks to that, so many flavors like cumin, the wild cumin, which is like much better than the one you can buy anywhere, or juniper, even like the greens of the
Hmm.
juniper, or when the juniper itself is green, the berries, they have like such a fresh flavor, or also like everything from the trees in the forest. However, there's tons.
Yes, and it always baffles me how people think that it's the norm to know all of the spices that come from the other
Oh
side of the
yeah,
world, but the local
that's
spices are just unknown. And I
yeah.
think, why, how did this happen?
I really don't know. That's interesting too. It's also like we have one thing. It's like from the spruce,
Mhm.
the and from the larch, we have the very outside skin. How you call it again?
Yes, like the outer bark.
Yeah. So we dry it in the sun, we put it in water, we dry it again in the sun, then we put it in the water again. So it's kind of a
Oh,
fermentation. And
yes.
then if you grind it very thin, it's like a little bit like cinnamon or
Wow.
speculatius. And people are like, hey, you are giving me this to eat, but this is no food. And then you're like, yeah, well, but you are eating cinnamon too. And it's
Right.
nearly the same. And
Yes.
then they start to think exactly as you say, like we don't know about spices and flavors which we can generate around our area, but we know exactly that we have like Madagascar vanilla or Tahiti vanilla, but they don't know what, not even the names of the trees which have nice flavors.
Yes. What I'm wondering, how does the rest of the culinary world look at what you are doing? How is their reaction?
That's very difficult to say because I'm not really fitting into the culinary world as we know it, because we are not a regular restaurant. We are open only when we have our events, so the people can just come when they have a reservation.
Hmm.
We are not serving gourmet menu or fine dining, so we just give it a new name, which is like eat perception, because I
Okay.
want that the people think about what they are eating. So I include it with stories. So it's more like an art installation and
Wow.
not the regular kind of gastronomy. And that's why I'm not that sure if they look at us as a gastronomy point, and also not as we are not playing in the regular games,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like no rankings, no whatever, because
Yes.
I think we are not fitting in it anyway. So we don't even start to go with that. So that's why I'm like an in-betweener. I'm not a real gastronomy person, and I'm not a artist or like a someone who makes art in this way. It's just something what we made a new draw, let's say. So that's
Yes,
why
I
we don't
love
need to
how
make
you think
competition.
out of the box. It's great, I think, and we should have more people like that. I really, yes, I'm really supportive of that. Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm also wondering, like coming back to the foraging, how common is it today to still do it? Or you said before it became like a booming thing, but
Yeah,
like if we look at the average population in percentages, how many people do you think actually do it?
not many.
All right.
I think it was for a while nice, also during Corona, but then the people start to forget about it because they have a very busy day. Like
Mhm.
every day is packed with stuff, and you need to have a certain amount of knowledge and interest on it. But still, the people like to come to us to eat like this, or to other restaurants which do it already. And there is a few restaurants since the last few years which started with it too. A few are doing it because it's prestige, and a few are
Mhm.
doing it because they really feel it.
Yes.
Doesn't matter why you do it. I think it's nice that people start to think about it, because then you can reach more and more people to just let them know, well, we have very nice local products. And
Yes.
also, like,
Absolutely.
for us also, there's not only the wild surrounding important, also the farmers, the local producers,
Mhm.
which are very much in our focus. And I think also there it's so nice to see that they are like, oh, well, there is more people interested on that. So I can just start to farm this because I
Yes.
know I can sell it. So I think the
Yes.
biodiversity, even in the whole thing of farming, is getting bigger, and that
Mhm.
there is more diversity around. I mean, when I started 10 years ago, I figured out so many new products because they see people are interested on it. And I think this is
Yes.
this is the big point.
Yes, yes, that's a nice evolution. Yes, yes. And what I'm also wondering is there in Switzerland like a huge difference between urban settings and regions more at the countryside when it comes to foraging? Like sometimes I feel that especially people in urban settings here in Belgium really want to go foraging because yeah, it's like this strange kind of contradiction, I think. I see a lot of people living in the countryside and they have like a garden that is like just a lawn that is just very well kept and it's totally no wild plants, and then some gardens in the cities and they're very wild, and I think it's just because of
Mm,
the urban settings that people are yearning for this wildness somehow.
absolutely. Yeah, I think if you're living in a countryside, you have the wildness around you.
Hmm.
So you are more into saying, well, but I want a peace which I can control. And
Yes.
in the city, everything is controlled. So you need a piece of wildness around you.
Yes.
I think this is a big point. And also, like, the education is, even when people make the same school, it's different in urban regions than in the countryside. And I mean, we have our guests are mostly from urban region. They're not from the countryside.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, the people who really understand what we do and why we do it, they're from the urban region and not from the countryside. Even my grandmother is saying, Ma, what are you doing here? You cannot eat this. This is stuff which you pull out. You want to have the carrots, not this. And I was like, no, I want to have this. And I think it's also because people on the countryside, they just they are surrounded by it, and that's why the inner impulse is different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But for sure you have farmers and producers on the countryside which are very much into it, and I think there is people like they are really really going into foraging. They mostly also live more on countryside than
Mm-hmm.
really in the city because they cannot handle cities mostly.
Yes. Yes, I will speak for myself, but I have been living in the city for the largest part of my life. And I
But
did
then
I did foraging all the time. Usually I had a garden. For a couple of years I lived without a garden. But I always lived near, a park or
yeah.
wherever I could forage. However, moving to the countryside has so much deepened my relationship
Mm.
with the plants. It's just
Hmm.
like a totally different thing because they are everywhere here and there are so many more options and
Hmm.
they are so much more part of my daily life. Um, However, I think it's important for people because most people still live in cities, right? So I think it's important to have enough options
Hmm.
if you want to go foraging in the city. And I can see in my hometown, the government, the local government, is actually doing a lot of effort to make green spaces for people
Yeah.
and to. How is that in Switzerland?
The point is our cities are not that big that you need really to have it. So I would say we are not like specific very good, but I think we have super small cities which are automatically surrounded by green because half an hour and then you are out in the green. I mean, even in
Yes.
Zurich it's small, and but we are not having specific proper parks which are like amazing to be in there. So I think people just go out for this half an
Yes.
hour.
But I think
um
the thing in Switzerland is also compared to Belgium that you just have a lot more open green spaces than we
yeah,
have. Yes.
totally. But I must say, like, let's say the city Basel,
Mm-hmm.
I would say if there is a city going for that, it's definitely Basel.
All
They're
right.
having so much urban gardening and like um, permaculture gardening in the city. So I think there it's really something going on. And if you
Mm-hmm.
go to Bern, this is a city which is had was always very green already, but it's a very small city. It's about 350,000 people. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, even Zurich is a small one. So I would say it's difficult to say. I think sometimes the cities are maybe greener than several small uh, villages which are close to a city than the big cities we have.
Uh-huh.
But I think
Yeah.
I can imagine that in many parts like agglomeration,
Yes.
like when you have like parts which are growing to the city, these are mostly not the ones which are properly green. But also in Switzerland, the government is like not planting like poison plants anymore like they did before. Now they are just like having also signs for edible plants or wild plants. But also
Okay.
then you have people, they say, wow, look there, it's just they're doing nothing, it looks like everywhere in nature. They're not even putting only flowers. I mean, they want to put something what is growing in nature to bring this feeling inside, but many people don't understand it. So they're like saying,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the government, the city, they're not doing well. But actually, they mean it in a good way.
And how is the legal framework when it comes to foraging? Like, is it allowed? Where is it allowed? What is allowed? When is it allowed?
Actually, I am very lucky. I have my own land, so I don't have to think about it. Um, I must be honest. Honest. I have mostly I'm foraging on my land anyway, but also even when I'm somewhere else, the most of time I'm going to ask the people if it's okay that we do that in their field because
Mm-hmm.
it's not us. Um, in the forest, I never checked it properly, because I think there's so less people doing that it is a problem. It's not like with mushroom. Mushrooms are in certain moments not allowed to go and harvest them,
Mhm.
and also in certain areas you're not allowed at all to take them. But there is no law for cranberries in the
All right.
forest, or for blueberries, which you can always go. If the farmer who owns the land is not complaining about that you're destroying everything, there is nothing happening. Is it forbidden in
Yes, in
Belgium?
Belgium, in forests, well, at least in Flanders, the part where I live, it's always forbidden to pick anything in forests. But we
Why?
are the region in the whole of Europe with the fewest forest area. So I
Oh,
can understand,
okay.
yes.
Yes. Yeah, that
Um,
makes sense.
so, and mushrooms in our part of the country is never allowed to pick, except in your own garden. Um, but yeah, it's never allowed. But there are some public spaces like parks where it is allowed, depending on where you live.
Yeah.
Of course, there is a whole list
Oh,
of protected plants that you can never pick, which is, I think, very
crazy.
obvious that you don't pick them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, and I think uprooting of plants is, of course, something different. Like if you want to harvest a root of a plant, that's
Mm-hmm.
different than harvesting leaves or seeds or
Yes.
flowers, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's totally
it's just
different.
common sense. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, yeah. No, I don't think I never checked it like really, but I never heard about that it is illegal to harvest something. I mean, for sure it's not legal to just take a tree.
Hmm.
But it's, I mean, if you, no, I never had that. That you are not allowed to even pick like the spruce or something like that. We just learned when we were children that it's not good for the tree to take too much. So if I go harvesting anywhere something, I take maximum a third, because
Hmm.
the plant needs to grow and to live.
Yes. So, wow, this was something you learned as a child in school
Yeah.
or
No,
three
at home.
at home? Okay,
Yeah.
wow, very nice.
Maybe even like in kindergarten, or maybe, yeah, I think it was just normal to be careful with nature, because we have a lot of farming here, and I think that's why we are working so much and like dependent that nature is strong and healthy. Yeah, they teach us to be careful.
Yeah, I think this is this is the catch-22 about nature conservation in Belgium. I think that
Hmm.
they want to remove humans from the natural areas, which I can understand because we're very densely populated. So we can just visit there as tourists, as walkers in the forest on the paths. And I
That
can
makes you
totally
even
understand their
more.
vision because there are
Yeah.
so few forests. But on
Yeah.
the other hand, by doing this, nature becomes something very casual, um, I don't know,
Let's go to the zoo.
like a zoo or a museum or a
It's already
cinema
dead.
theater,
Let's go and look at
and it
it.
becomes less like essential, like
Hmm.
your supply of food and of medicine and yeah, it just becomes very casual. And I think
Hmm.
there's also a downside about this approach.
It feels like
Yes,
if you go, it's like consuming something. Like, yeah, let's go to the restaurant. Let's go
yes.
to the zoo. Let's go to the museum. And it's not something naturally anymore, because I mean, yeah, as you say, I can really understand, and probably it's a necessary thing to do it,
Hmm.
but it just makes people even more like disconnected from it.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And
Mm.
this is like a vicious cycle because if they become more disconnected, then they are not so close to nature, so they will not defend it. They will not, they will think it's less important than it actually is in reality. And that is
Hmm.
something that is really a downside, I think. Yeah.
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 Oh, crazy. How many people are living in Belgium?
Oh.
I'm very bad at numbers. Really, I don't know. I would have to look that up. We're actually in the north part in Flanders where I live. We're really very densely populated. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
I can totally understand that they're doing this. And I'm not, I also tell my students to please follow the rules. It's even not allowed, according to really the strict law, even to take a fallen leaf out of the forest or a
Yeah.
twig that has fallen off,
Oh, whoa.
because you're disturbing like the soil and the microbiome of the soil because it has to feed with the decaying matter.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
again, I can totally understand, and I will always
Yes.
ask my students to follow these rules. But I think it's also a bit sad on the other side. And I'm glad that sometimes I get to go to other countries where the rules are different. Yeah, to experience also something different. So, yes. How is the general botanical, so not specifically about foraging, but like the general botanical knowledge in Switzerland? Like, uh, do people generally know what a dandelion is, or a stinging nettle is, or don't they?
I think like the very regular things they know,
Okay.
like dandelions, sting nettles. Yeah, then that's probably it. But no, there is a few people they know quite a lot because they're interested in that too. And there's people I always tell them also like this is maybe something what you will also see when you are going for a walk. So it's nice to take that at home. What's the name actually for Guter Heinrich? It's like the wild spinach.
Yes, yes, yes. Brave Hendrik, we call it.
Yeah,
Yes.
genau. We have it a lot here, and it's so tasty and nice. And I think this is something what people take at home and they will just see it, or like Spitzwegerich. I think the people are interested on it, but it's for sure a bubble. So I'm sure there's many people they have no idea about. I mean, they know maybe sting nettles because they think it's not nice.
Because they sting, yes.
Yeah, but they for sure don't know. I mean, they know maybe the flowers of the dandelion, but they have no clue that they can eat it.
Mm-hmm.
Or even when I
Mm-hmm.
was a child, my my grandparents told me they're poison, like the juice, the white juice
Yes,
which is coming out,
yes.
it's poison. Or there's so many plants they call them poison even when they are not. And
Yes,
that's
this
why.
is to me also something very interesting, how many times we are warned about the natural world,
Mm,
but how many
but not
times
about
is that
industry.
actually true? It's
Yeah,
yeah.
especially in our area. And also, like, I don't know if you have that sometimes about Fuchsbandwurm.
Yes. Yes. The fox roundworm. Yes. Oh, yes. As soon as you say you're a forager, people are like, "Oh, oh."
But you're still alive. Okay.
But how
Yeah,
is
that's.
that situation in Switzerland, I wonder?
Yeah, I mean, it's nearly never happening. But I was mostly I'm asking them, have you been picking some mushrooms once in your life in the forest? Oh yeah, sure. We go every year. So yeah, then I mean the foxes are living there too. Why are you not thinking about that? And have you ever seen a field outside with veggies in there, which is like surrounded by a huge fence that no animal can enter? No? Okay, good. So let's not talk anymore about it. But it's interesting that people are so scared about stuff like this, even when there is many other possibilities. But this foraging is like, whew, it's just for wizards.
Yes, it really fascinates me, this fear. Where does it come from?
Mm,
It's yeah, and I also see this with people having difficulties. Um, we are very brainwashed with fixed flavors, like flavors that are uniform. We expect the same flavor in a
mm-hmm.
certain dish. And this is the thing when you work with wild plants, that sometimes they are a little bit more fruity or a little bit more aromatic or a little bit, it's, it's just different because there may have been a different soil, different amount
Yeah.
of hours of sunlight, and this all influences the flavor. And people often think that by tasting something the first time, they know how a certain
How can it be
berry or a
forever?
certain, yes, but it's not. I tell them, really, you have to try it different times because it
Yeah.
may taste differently. And I think that's very interesting how people just expect these homogeneous
Yeah.
flavors, and
But yeah,
also
we
how,
most of people grew up with that because
yes,
it's all
exactly.
the same all the time.
Yeah, and I think it's also a little bit about control, because I remember
Yeah.
I did like this project, and it was in a restaurant, and I was with a colleague, Veerle Waterschoot, and we were actually cooking with wild plants for a large area, a large audience. And so we were also working with local flavors, local vegetable, local wild plants. And what was interesting is, like, it started with the first course, like we were uh, giving people a drink, and it was a drink that I made based on the seeds of the hogweed, not the
Yes.
giant one, but the
Yes.
regular one. And
They're nice.
I gave people a glass with this drink. I didn't say anything, and I said, just try to taste it, have all the flavors in your mouth. And they said, yeah, but what is it? What is it? I want to know what I'm drinking. And I said, we will talk about this later. First, I want you to taste. And they were
Yeah.
tasting it. I said things like, oh, there's pineapple in it. There's definitely pineapple in it. And I said, no. Oh, but then there is. And they were telling all kinds of exotic flavors. And I thought, no, this is just a flavor of, and nobody had ever heard of these hogweed seeds. And it was so
Yes.
interesting to
Funny.
see how people were
Yeah.
just, because I think if you know already what's in a dish, you have certain expectations and certain,
Yes.
yeah. And it's so interesting when people really start to taste their food, I think.
And they really need, I mean, we always tell the people what they're eating because kind of we need to. Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, I can really understand. I think it would be nice to have more possibilities to make experiments like that. But then you need to have the agreement of every person normally.
Of course.
If you do that regularly, if you do it once, it's something else. But I
Yes.
think they would have it differently in mind and also like have different flavors when they don't know it. I
Hmm.
had once a dessert with blood because in early times people they hadn't the money to buy eggs because they were so expensive, so they used blood to make cakes or stuff, so
Really?
also some
Whoa.
biscuits and everything. And I needed to tell the people because we made an ice cream with some roasted buckwheat with kochi and lupinen and some blood. So it was kind of a very creamy. It was like a mix between coffee and chocolate, like from the flavors. But because that we needed to tell this to the people, they were like, "Oh," but they would
Yes.
never figured out that it was blood if we didn't told them. So I think it could be super nice to just have it more with flavors from here to let them guess what it could be or what it has for flavors, so they are putting that in their minds that they will remember to that next time and say, oh,
Yes.
I had something very nice, it smelled like chocolate, but it wasn't, so let's try it to do it in the new way.
Yes, it's very interesting to see also for me how you can have really exotic flavors in very local
Yeah.
ingredients. Like this pineapple weed that really tastes like pineapple,
Or
or
tagetes, which is crazy.
yes, that is totally crazy. There is so much flavor in that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, and I think, I mean, for us, we are talking in the flavors we know now. We are saying, oh, that smells a bit like cichorie, that smells like tagetes, that smells like Wiesenbeerenklau, and so on. But if you are not having that in your hands, for sure you go with the flavors you know. but that's why I'm saying it would be nice to just adapt it. Like also like Kirsch in English. It smells very like celery, like the stems of the celery.
Ground elder.
Ja, genau, ground elder. And people are so surprised when you just like say, well, there is no celery in it. It's just this, and there's also no parsley in it. It's just like it's so flavorful about like from this. And I think people are like keeping that in their minds like that. But it's a slow process, as it is with us, and we are doing that like so many time every day, the whole year long. It is somehow around us, and for these people it's probably 5 times a year in the very best case. But still it's nice, and I think they're really interested on knowing at least something. They're super proud when they say, I know this plant.
So you were talking about ground elder, but what is a plant that really, really surprised you and that really transformed a dish that you were making?
There are many. The Wiesenbeerenklau, for sure. The one you
giant hogweed, yes.
Yeah, genau. The seeds, amazing. Also like tagetes, which I figured out a few years ago, which are like, it's so much like passion fruit if you do it very easy, like not too much, just like infusing it somewhere. Fig leaves, which are like coconut. We made ice cream with amasake, so with kochi, and fig leaves, and it was like pina colada.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is really funny and also really nice. My favorite is still the wild cumin. The leaves of our blueberries, when they are dried in the sun, they have a little bit green tea flavor.
Oh, wow.
Which is also very nice. Oh, let me think. It's always so hard to remember when it's winter, because then you are in a totally different flavor mind. Yeah, also like the heads of the Spitzwegerich.
Yes, the plantain. Yes.
Genau, they're like mushrooms if you grill them.
Yes, they are so nice. Yes.
And I think it's like so funny to figure out new things. And I mean, it's just like going in so many directions. And also like we tried to make kimchi, or like just infusing them, or lacto fermentation, and a few things came out very well and a few things were absolutely disgusting. But I think it's funny to figure out, and to also looking forward to the time that it is growing again. So you're going there and you're checking, whoa, is it ready? No, it's not. So you go 1 week later, and then you are like, yeah, now it's perfect. The knöterich. I really love the knöterich.
Ah, yes. Yes, the knotweed, the Japanese knotweed.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. He's really, like a, how to say, neophyte. So it's not growing here, but in the south of Switzerland.
Okay.
And I really love it because it's like a very nice acidity, like rhubarbs, without this stuff on your tongue at the end, what you have from the oxalsäure.
Yes.
So it's really nice to work with that. Or also very, very nice is Sauerampfer. I only know the names in German.
Sorrel. It's okay. I can translate for you. Sorrel, yes.
The sorrel, you just juice it, it's super nice. Or making sorbet, very fresh, but also to have it we made a vinaigrette with it. Like instead of juice like verjus or also like lemon juice, we just use this, which is super, super nice. So you can also go with less vinegar, and it's so fresh and like green, but like a citrus green. So yeah, I really like it. Or also like the spruce, or the coins from the spruce, We made some drinks with that, so non-alcoholics, because we always figure out something nice also for people who don't drink alcohol. And I think there's like millions of flavors.
There are so many flavors that even me have no idea that they exist and that I'm still to discover, which is so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I think it's just in an area where people think there's not growing that much. I mean, if you go to a country which is more like close to the equator, you have like huge forests with a lot of fruits which are growing. But I think also here you have so many flavors to discover.
Yes, and I think in Switzerland also you have the altitude, so with
Yeah,
different
yeah,
climate zones, I think. So you
yeah.
have different flora there probably.
Yeah, it's super nice because when we have our menus, we always start in the valley on one point, and then we can go up, and then we can have it very much longer because we are going with the altitude. So we have it very long, the same thing on our menu, because we just can every week we go a little bit higher because it's growing there.
Oh, so you can like climb through the seasons.
Yes.
Wow, that's such an interesting factor.
Yeah, that's really cool. And also, if people say, "Oh, I just missed the flowers," and then we are, "Oh, that's very good. Let's have a look." And then you see, "Ah, yeah, there's still nothing." So we still have the time to organize. And I think we have it
Oh,
with many things because we are on 1600 meters. So we have quite a bit of more time to figure out.
that is very fascinating. I would love to have that
We are
option.
never too late, let's say like this. I mean, for sure, not everything is growing up here. Even a few things are only growing up here. So it's really nice to have this movement also.
So being in Switzerland definitely has some special options, but I'm also wondering, like, what are the challenges? Like, do you see the impact of climate change and on the flora, or is there like pressure of tourism in certain areas, or do you see the loss of traditional knowledge as a challenge, or what challenges are you facing?
I think all the three. I think it's everywhere a bit the same. I would say with the heat, we are still quite good here because of we have a very good microclimate in the mountains still.
All right.
And it's until now it seems to be quite healthy. Everything, we had a good summer, we had enough rain but also enough sun. It was a nice autumn, but also there is a bit of snow. For sure there is less snow than when I was a child, but it seems not to be catastrophic right now here. For sure it looks different on other places. But still, I think the plants are changing a bit. They also realize there is something going on with temperature and heat and dryness, because sometimes the time that it stays dry or wet is longer than before. So maybe we will end up in only 2 seasons, also in monsoon and dry season.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But also the tourism, for sure. There's more and more people walking around, but still we are right here in an area where it's still like, okay. And we have good institutions like Naturpark, Natural Park, like they're looking to that. They are giving like people also like, I think it's always something about education. So they educate people, well, you cannot just walk everywhere, you need to be careful, there is animals living in it, and on several seasons you shouldn't walk through. So yeah, I think that makes a lot that people are more consciousness to walk around. For sure not all, but I think in general you could say people are quite aware what they are doing and how they should do it. And there's not many people throwing stuff somewhere on the floor. So they're quite aware about that they are just destroying nature if they act like that. And I think what is the biggest problem is like for sure that our society is more and more feeling separated from nature. As you say, you're like going and visiting a park, even when it's just something what should be normal to just walk in and enjoy it, and not feeling like you are going to a national park, but it's just a forest next to your house.
Mhm.
And I think this is like a point that makes people just going more and more far away, but also to that more people are thinking about to going in another direction, so to inform, to get education about it. So I think there's also like the people are going in the other direction too.
Mhm.
I mean, even that we both are talking right now means something.
Yes, definitely.
And people are interested on that, so otherwise you couldn't make your podcasts, and I couldn't make my philosophy with my food, because if we
Yes.
would stay in the times where they sell well only caviar and lobster and cookie
Mhm.
Saint-Jacques is nice, and I will pay this price only for that, because we
Mhm.
have a high level price, yes, but we need to have it because foraging it's a lot of time you're spending for that, and I
Yes.
want to pay my people like good. I don't want to give them a shit salary.
Mhm.
So we need to have like the price they're also having for caviar and all this
Mhm.
stuff, which we don't have on our menu. But we have a lot of things you probably never eat before.
Yes.
But definitely
Yes.
not like that. So I think this makes it special, and I think there is enough people that are interested on it, and I really think there is more and more people going in that direction, which is nice.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see also how people, it's hard to put words to this, but how people transform. There is some kind of emotional transformation, I think, when they
Mm.
taste wild plants or when they go out and pick
Oh
themselves.
yeah, that's
It's hard to describe really what
yeah.
happens there, but you see it too, I think.
Yeah, that's really nice. I mean, there's like a kind of proudness and connection, and a throwback to childhood, like to
Hmm.
early times. And it's a really nice mix. Even like, I mean, when people harvest it by themselves, it's anyway like they're like proud as like, wow, look, I made that by myself. I find it in the forest. And I think this is really nice. And I think most people who do that, they are very, very aware and very careful. And I also got sometimes the question, but well, what are you doing if everyone is going to foraging? I was like, this will never happen. Because people have no time for that, and they also will not take the time for that, because you are just like floated by hundred of things to do, so you need to kind
Hmm.
of do it really in your life, and you have not many people who do that because it's a hard job.
Yes, I think it's on an individual level, it's such a beautiful thing to do, to slow down and be mindful about what you're eating. And it's also such a pure thing. There is just the plant and you and the here and the now, and you pick it and you eat it. And there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing else. It's just this pure direct relationship that you have.
Yeah,
And I think that
yeah,
is the opposite of what happens in the whole industry
absolutely.
about food.
It's the absolute opposite. Yeah, it's the point inside of the yin yang, like the other side.
Yes, it's like the antidote, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do you see the practice of foraging in Switzerland evolving over like the next 10, 20, 50 years?
I think it will grow, like the amount of people who do it. Especially, I think in gastronomy there is a movement going on. There is more and more chefs and restaurants which are interested on doing that. There's more and more people interested on buying this concept and going there to eat, but I think in a very good way, like in a healthy way. Not that like too many people will just go out and foraging. I think it's more like it will stay something very specific, but it will just like be more into the everyday talk than it has been the last 100 years. So I think it's a good amount of people will do it, but with a certain amount of perception, not just like. So I think it's nice, and I'm pretty sure that that gastronomy is also has the chance to go in that direction. If they really do it, we don't know. I think it depends also a lot about what is surrounding us in the next 10, 20, 50 years. If we have, I mean, doing this means also to have like a very stable government around us. If you don't have it, you're not thinking in the first moment to this. You're just, acting different. And I think it's also a kind of, in this moment when we are talking about gastronomy, it's more about an art piece to say, well, we are going outside and creating something nice, a nice dish with this. And I think if you are more with people like private, it's also like, well, we have the possibility to do it in our free time, but if you have no security in your life, you are like just going in different directions because you need to work more to just survive your daily life. So I think it really depends also on that. But in the very best case, people will be more aware for nature in the next years.
And how are your personal dreams about the restaurant? Where do you think? What do you think will happen? What are your dreams? What are your
We are for sure sooner than later on a point where I need to say, well, I'm doing this now since 10 years. What is the next step? Because there is more and more people doing the same thing as we are doing. So there is the people which are interested on it. They will not only come to us, they also go to other places which have the same or similar concept, which is really great. But then I need to evolve. And also the place here, it's on the farm. It's not a proper restaurant. It's just like the old workshop of my dad. And we are doing this in like a provisorium. It's not a real place to be. So I think if I could wish, I would wish to have a proper kitchen with a really nice cooking station with wood, and having like a place which is like that we have enough space to put all our jars, because right now everything is everywhere a little bit. So I think
know the jar problem, yes.
Yeah, it's like they're just everywhere. If I would go on with cooking in a place, I would wish myself to have a proper space. And otherwise, I think it would be also very interesting to just go a little bit more into education, also for young humans, in schools or in places where they have like the possibility to teach them something about that.
All right, beautiful.
Let's see.
I have one last question for you, because I have been in Switzerland when I was, I think when I was about 14 years old, so
Okay.
quite a time ago.
It's time to come again.
And I remember the wildlife there, the wild animals, and I was wondering if you ever had an encounter with a wild animal while you were picking plants.
Yes, sure. I mean, when we drive up here to our village, we always say we make the safari, especially in the night. You make a safari because there's so many animals going around. And yeah, sure. I mean, while picking, sometimes you see a deer or like foxes or rabbits, squirrels, And it's so funny to just like, when you realize they are there, then you are just like, not moving. They're not moving. And then maybe you move a little bit to have a look in their direction, and then sometimes they look also a little bit closer. So it's very funny.
Exactly.
It's very cute. I think it's very nice to. It feels like you're more and more. I mean, closer and closer with nature, because there is something moving directly. I mean, a mushroom
Yes.
and also the plants are moving, but slowly. And an animal is just moving faster. So if the animal sees you and it's staying there, it's a very nice moment of connection.
Yes, it's like a breathtaking moment also.
Yeah, genau,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
And
very
that
cool.
never happens in the supermarket.
No, definitely not. Yeah, and they're
So,
so beautiful.
yes, it's true. Yeah. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for this very interesting conversation. If
Thank
people
you.
want to find out more about your work or want to come to you to have some wonderful food, where can they find more information?
So the best is to go on our website. And if you have the newsletter, you always get information in German. But I think nowadays it's not so hard to to translate it. But also we are on Instagram, and there you also see what's going on, or LinkedIn, however. So we are everywhere a bit silly. But I think the most information you will find in our website, and there you can read a little bit more about our philosophy. And we also have like different pictures. It's always good to see pictures because our brain is mostly working with our eyes. So
Yes, yes. And what is the website exactly?
it's just rebecca-clopath.ch.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you, Wildy, for listening to this episode. Hope to see you for the next one. And in the meantime, keep powdering your nose with dandelion pollen. Bye bye.
A warm thank you for listening, Wildy. Are you feeling a wild itch after this episode? Well, just head over to wildplantforager.com and feel free to connect with me on social media. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I hope you'll be there. But for now, just go outside and follow your wild heart.